Let's be honest, the internet has a massive trust problem. I mean, every single day we're asked to hand over our data, our identity, to countless services. And a lot of the time, that trust feels, well, misplaced. Today, we're digging into a project called Ontology that has a really unique solution, a dual-token engine designed to completely rebuild trust from the ground up. So what is this engine and how does it actually work? Let's dive in and find out. So here's the plan. First, we'll talk about this crisis of trust that Ontology is trying to solve. Then, we'll look at the infrastructure they've built, get into their innovative two-token system, see how you can earn rewards through staking, and finally, check out the market dynamics of its utility token, ONG.
All right, let's start with the big picture, the fundamental problem. Every time you log into something, every time you make a transaction online, all of it is built on this idea of trust. But in our digital world today, that foundation is definitely showing some cracks.
I mean, really think about it. Our digital identities are all over the place, split across dozens of different surfaces. Our data is scattered everywhere. Just trying to prove who you are is getting harder and, frankly, more expensive. And this isn't just a small annoyance, It creates this huge friction for everything from how we govern ourselves to how we do business.
This quote from Ontology's own white paper just hits the nail on the head. These pain points of trust, as they call them, aren't just an idea. They have a real, measurable economic cost every single day. And this is the exact problem Ontology was designed to fix.
So how do you even begin to solve a problem as huge as digital trust? Well, you don't do it with a simple app. You have to build an entirely new kind of infrastructure. Let's take a look at how Ontology put theirs together. This chart here really shows their layered approach. See, at the very bottom, you've got the core infrastructure. Then, built on top of that is the trust ecosystem. This is for stuff like your digital ID or maybe a credit score. The next layer up is the transaction network for exchanging assets. And then right at the top, you have the application ecosystem, which is where we as users would actually interact with everything. Each layer is absolutely crucial, and they all work together to create this one cohesive solution. And here's a little peek under the hood. Now, I know it's a super complex diagram, but the main thing to take away here is just how modular it is. You can see how the core blockchain is designed to connect to everything from financial services to the Internet of Things. It's a really ambitious framework, built for the real world.
Okay, this brings us to the real heart of our explainer, the unique economic model that powers this entire system. See, unlike a lot of other blockchains that just use one token for everything, Ontology uses two, and this is where it gets really interesting. First up, you've got ONT, the Ontology token. The best way to think about this is like a share of stock in the network. If you hold ONT, you get a say in how the network is governed. You can vote on its future. It's also the token you stake to help keep the network secure. And here's a really interesting detail. It's indivisible. You can only own whole ONT tokens, which kind of reinforces its role as this unit of governance, not just a simple currency.
And then you have ONG, or Ontology Gas. This is the fuel for the engine. If you want to do anything on the network, run a smart contract, make a transaction, you have to pay for it with ONG. And here's the genius part. ONG is actually generated as a reward when you stake your ONT. It just connects the two tokens so elegantly.
So, putting them side by side like this really makes it all click. ONT is the stock for ownership and having a say. ONG is the gas for actually running things. Now, why separate them? Well, it's a brilliant design choice to keep network fees stable. It means the cost of using the network isn't directly tied to the speculative value of the main governance token, which, as we all know, can be incredibly volatile.
Now, this whole dual token model isn't just some clever theory on a whiteboard, it's a system that you can actually participate in. By staking your ONT, you can help support the network and earn rewards for doing it.
So by staking, which is basically just locking up your ONT tokens, you become an active part of securing the entire network. And as a thank you for that contribution, you get rewarded with the network's fuel, ONG. It's a really powerful way to earn a passive income while making the whole ecosystem stronger.
And, getting started is surprisingly straightforward. You just need to get the official Onto wallet, have some ONT you want to stake, and you'll need a tiny bit of ONG just to cover transaction fees. From there, you just pick a reliable network node to support, decide how much ONT you want to stake, and bam, you're earning rewards. It's a really direct way to put your assets to work for the network.
Okay, so we know ONG is the network's fuel, but it's also a tradable asset out there on the open market. And it has its own really interesting story of volatility, value, and some very strategic changes.
To give you an idea of its journey, get this.
ONG hit an all-time high of almost $4.40 way back in September of 2018. Now that's practically an eternity ago in the crypto world, but it shows you that the demand for this network gas can translate into some serious market value. But it also tells that classic story of the extreme ups and downs that are just a part of this space.
So here's a more recent snapshot. A market cap around $43 million, with about 448 million ONG out there in circulation. But the number you really want to pay attention to here is the total supply, 800 million. And trust me, that number has quite a story behind it.
And this brings us to a major turning point in the story. The community, the people actually holding the ONT, voted unanimously to change the entire economic model of ONG. This wasn't some top-down decision from a CEO. It was a deliberate move powered by the project's own governance system, all to ensure its long-term health. And the change was absolutely massive. The total supply was cut from 1 billion all the way down to 800 million. And on top of that, another 100 million ONG equivalent assets were locked away forever. That is a huge reduction in the available supply of the network's fuel, and it was a completely strategic choice.
So why on earth would they make such a bold move? Well, it really all comes down to creating value. First, improved scarcity. Basic economics, right? A lower supply can drive up demand and potentially increase the value of each token. Second, it means better, more predictable rewards for the stakers. And third, it fosters ecosystem growth by giving developers more confidence to build on a network that has a really sound and controlled economic foundation.
So what's the big takeaway here? Ontology's dual token engine is a really clever and unique solution to the internet's ongoing trust problem. And by making its own fuel scarcer, the community has shown that it's willing to make bold, long-term moves to build value. Which leaves us with the big question: with a new vision for trust and a much scarcer token, is Ontology's engine just getting warmed up?